Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast. You guys giggle at me right at the start. You're live now. Okay. Oh dear, that was very loud. Welcome to our Pixel Remaster podcast episode. So we're talking all things Final Fantasy 1 to 6 Pixel Remastered. Today we have Suk Gomez and Zessel Gaming. So what we always start with, is an introduction from the two guests that we have. So Suk, could you please introduce yourself, the kind of things you do on stream, when you stream?
Hi, my name is Suk Gomez. I'm a variety streamer. I play pretty much a lot of retro games, and well, I'm a voice actor on the side. I don't know if I said that. You're putting me on the spot here. But But yeah, and I'm usually live when I get the chance, pretty much, because everything right now in my head is a mess. So I have no schedules right now.
Sometimes that's the best way to be. And Zessel, how about yourself?
I too am also Suk Gomez. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm a retro RPG streamer. Love Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is the best. Not 13 though. But
we don't talk about that.
13 don't exist. Final Fantasy stops after 10. But yeah, normally I stream at nighttime when I'm not working or trying to kill myself IRL with breaking my back.
That is definitely something that Zessel did. So we can hear your typing, by the way. So anyway, as I said, tonight is all about Pixel Remaster. And if you have any questions that you would like to ask Suk or Zessel this evening, as always, we have the command at the bottom. It's something like 50 points, so you should already have it straight away. Any questions, and at the end or during tonight, I will ask whichever one you aim it towards, or whichever one's best for that question. On top of our two special guests this evening, I also actually have a couple extra opinion pieces that some people have given in to us tonight. So we're going to have, across the evening, we're going to have a couple extra videos and sound bites from some other streamers, which is very exciting, and I'm very happy about this podcast episode. So my first question is for Suk, which is, please can you give us a general overview of what the Pixel Remasters are as a whole?
So for me, the general overview for these games are pretty much just upgraded graphics with a few extras edited with a quick save feature, a map, music is way better, and a few system changes from remasters from the PSP to the original form, what they had. So that was actually something that I really needed to get used to, because I had no idea in the originals that they had spell slots.
Haha.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you too, buddy.
What a wonderful start. Okay, and Zessel, when were the first original Final Fantasies, the first 6 original Final Fantasies released?
Eventually. No, Final Fantasy 1 was released in Japan in December of 1987 and followed up in America July 12th of 1990. FF2 followed up a year later, 364 days later, after FF1 on December 17th, 1988, but it never came out to America until the PlayStation 1.
Correct.
April 8th of 2003.
Wow.
I believe.
Correct.
Well, nope, I typed that wrong. But whatever.
It's something in the region.
It's somewhere. I typed that wrong. Final Fantasy 3 came out April 27th of 1990 in Japan and November 14th, 2006 in 3D on the Nintendo DS.
Wow.
When I was in high school, because I'm old. Final Fantasy 4 came out in July 19th of 1991 in Japan. Also came out again as Easy Type on October 19th, 1991 in Japan. And that's the edition we got here in the States on November 23rd, 91. Final Fantasy V came out December 6th, 92 in Japan, October 5th, 1999 for the PS1 in North America. and 6 came out on April 2nd, 1994. I just deleted my whole thing.
Control-Z,
November.
Control-Z.
I'm trying. It came out in North America October 11th, 1994. Yay, your turn, Suit.
They really turned them around very quickly, didn't they?
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, that was some really quick. Even like right from the start, from 1 to 2, it wasn't that long.
Yeah.
It's quite incredible. So, Suit, so far the first 4 of the 6 Pixel Remasters have been re-released. What are the biggest changes that they've made, would you say?
So first off, is probably the movement with the diagonal movement, which is a big change, and I actually quite like it. Second feature is a quick save, which I actually just said, the map, and of course the graphic little detail.
Music.
Yeah, and the music, which I also actually said.
Oh, I won't
but I don't think they've actually changed anything else from the originals, at least. At least not that I found out.
Okay. I was just reading that Paul said in chat that he imagines they turned those earlier game releases around really quickly because they would have used the same game engine for the NES ones.
Yeah. Correct.
So it wouldn't have been too much.
We'll actually get to that later.
Oh, I like this. Okay, so my next question is actually for both of you. So we will start with Zessel. What is your favorite change that they have made?
My personal favorite change, they give you a freaking map. All right. In FF1, in the water temple, whatever it's called, I forgot. The water dungeon, you get lost. It's a giant maze. And so's the sky area before you fight Tiamat. Giant maze.
Yep.
And you get a map, and it shows you where all the treasure chests are. So if you miss a treasure chest, it is your damn fault. I love the music. I was already in love with the music to get-go, but now it's orchestral, and it's very nice. They even added a horn section in, which I quite like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Suit, what about you? What's your favorite changes?
For me, it's definitely the music. I even find it better than the PSP version. So that says a lot.
Wow, your opinion has changed.
Yeah, like the feelings for me, like at first, for me, the feelings of these games were overrated, and I found it nonsense. Like, I'm gonna be honest with that. I totally found it nonsense that they were just pixel remastering it. With when you have literally the extras and better, well, not that I'm a graphic slut, but they made it really look pretty and all that. But they just threw that all away. Even with the extras, they threw it all out of the window. I'm like, why?
But like I want to counter that a little bit. Like, to me, it looks prettier now. Like, I enjoyed the PSP versions. They look great. But when I look back and I think about Final Fantasy 1 or Final Fantasy 4 or the 2 and 3 that I played totally illegally when I was a kid, that's how I remember the game.
True.
Is that pixel remaster style. You know, I just went back the other day and looked at my original Final Fantasy 2, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty ugly. But I remember it in the style of the Pixel Remaster.
Yeah, I mean, that
crisp 16-bit goodiness.
Like, I'm not saying that overall it's better, but it does have some decent amount of beautiful things. But I do think...
Don't have Gomi in there.
I did add you on my party, by the way. But yeah, but for the Pixel Remaster, for quote unquote going from of the originals, going to this Pixel Remaster, I do have to say it does look a lot better. But will I change my opinion on it? Probably not much.
Okay. Well, thank you for those responses, guys. This is this is what I hoped for. I wanted you two to bat off each other's comments and have have a good discussion about it. That's the whole point of this podcast, after all. So it's great.
True.
We have our first opinion piece. This one is from Kane. Kane is a regular in our lovely Final Fantasies. So this is Kane Highwind 27, I believe, is the last number in his Twitch. I always forget his handle number at the end. So let me play this for you guys on screen.
So I started playing the Final Fantasy IV Remastered last week, and I love it. The graphics are great. I love all the rearrangements of the music, and it's just playing my favorite game again. But overall, I think the Pixel Remasters are really good, except for the fact that they were basing it based on the original versions of the game, so we don't get any of the extra content that came with the later games, like all the post-game stuff, basically.
That is pretty much exactly the same what I had.
Yes. Yeah. So from what Kane has just said, Zessel, what from the originals have they left out of the remasters that doesn't make sense?
From the originals, they haven't left nothing out. But from the original remakes, like the PSP versions, they left out all the bonus dungeons and stuff like that, which I am completely fine with because the bonus dungeons were trash. But
I disagree.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Here's why.
No,
may I?
I feel like, real quick, I'm going to finish this question.
Sure.
I feel like they might have cut like dungeon levels out, and I haven't noticed it because it's a whole lot more streamlined feeling than it was before. But I don't. Like, I remember there being 5 levels in one point of Final Fantasy 3 on a tower that you was in, and it was only 2 levels, but when I go back and check, it was always 2 levels, but it just took a whole lot longer. So...
Because you were lost and you had more battles, maybe? Or...
Well, no, I never really get lost in a Final Fantasy. I've played them that much, but... the Pixel remasters are a hell of a lot easier. They're 80% easier than the predecessors. All right, go ahead, Gomi.
Yeah, so for me, for the challenges for the extra dungeons, it gives a little bit more of a challenge. Because with Final Fantasy 1 on the PSP, with Chromadia, I believe.
Not chlamydia.
No. But I actually went in on their middle form, because that thing had 10 different forms, I believe. I went on the middle form, and already it caught me off guard completely. And also with Omega, Gilgamesh, because you, as a person who actually played Final Fantasy 12 for the first time, then got into 1 on the PSP, you already get to know so many iconic characters immediately. Omega, Gilgamesh, Ultros, all of that. And that is now completely cut out, which I actually find a shame, to be honest.
Well, see, you hit the nail on the head there. You started with a later game, where everything was already established. I started with Final Fantasy 1 on the Nintendo as a kid. I grew up with the series. And so in my opinion, those characters need to be in their respective games. I don't want to see Omega Weapon in Final Fantasy 4. I need to mute my phone because I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see Gilgamesh in Final Fantasy 2 on a spin-off dungeon. I'm glad that they're thinking that, but it just seems like, oh, we got to make this game different. Kind of style.
To be fair, the extra dungeons are choices that you make.
Yeah,
you can choose to do them. So
that's why it's called an extra.
Yeah. So in my opinion, still, why not just put it in? Just slide it in there. It's okay.
Because it's not true to the original form, and that's what they were going
I know,
for.
But it's still a choice for the people who do want it.
So,
that's hitting on another question.
We'll move on to that bit a little bit later. So, Suit, are there any gameplay mechanics that have changed or improved with these remasters?
Yes. First of all, with Final Fantasy 1, what I noticed with a little bit of research was a thing called wasted attack. With Final Fantasy 1, with the original, if you attacked a minion and it was already killed, but let's say your warrior was also targeting that minion, which is already dead, that attack would not go to another minion. But now they have improved that. So that is definitely one. For me, the spell slots are a big change. Like I said, to be fair, I actually hate it.
So could you explain the spell slots for those of us that might not have played these games yet?
So the spell slot, if you have played D&D, you would know exactly what a spell slot is. So a spell slot is pretty much for if you have used a spell, that slot will be crossed out. You've used it. And with the spell slot, it's per level, it's different entirely. But as you level up, you will get more spell slots as well. So I believe for the level that I am right now, for a spell level 1, that you can like do 7 times a level 1 spell. However, you need to choose on which one you do. So if you use Cure, then you have 6 left. If you use what is another one? That is a level 1 spell. Fuck me.
Izuna.
Izuna is a level 1 spell?
I don't know. I forgot.
No, that's not a level 1 spell.
And, fire and ice are also level 1 spells.
Dia is another level 1 spell.
Yeah.
So if you use that, then you have only 5. So you do need to know what you're using. So that is a really change. Like if you level up, it's fine. But if you really did not have that at all, then it's really something you're like, so what am I supposed to do now? But yeah, so that is pretty much also a big thing. Another one, if it might be wrong, but they don't have a run button. And they did have that in the PSP version where you could run faster.
No, they got a run button.
They still have a run button?
So just needs to find it. He needs to find it.
Shoot. All right. Well, then I need to find that.
You just hit in combat. You just hit right on your D-pad.
No. But I mean just the normal run button, like not fast forwarding.
Yeah. Oh, on the overworld.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold B down on your controller.
Yeah, but I don't play with a controller. I play with keyboard.
You throw your keyboard out the window, get a controller.
All right. Okay, so they do have run button. Okay.
Okay. And any other gameplay mechanics?
Not that I know of personally.
Okay. I got one. I got one.
Go on.
Final Fantasy 3. They got rid of class sickness.
What?
Really?
Class sickness?
Yeah. So in Final Fantasy 3 and 3 Nintendo DS, if you change your class, you're penalized for several battles. It's known as class sickness.
Okay.
In the Pixel Remaster, you can hot swap on the go, and it's great. I love this. Final Fantasy 3 Pixel Remaster is it took Final Fantasy 3 from almost bottom of the barrel for me to the top. It's now in my top 5.
Wow.
I actually played the DS version. I hated it. I did not play it.
3D sucks, dude.
Yeah. So okay, so I might, with hearing that, I might give 3 another chance.
Dude, yes, you gotta play 3. 3 is creme de la creme, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Also, in Final Fantasy 2, you no longer have to sit there and punch yourself in the face.
Yes, I know.
You get natural HP progression now.
Yes.
You had to punch yourself in the face to get HP?
Yes.
Yeah, in Final Fantasy 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So my next question... Oh, hold on. Are you reading something in chat?
Onesie Savage.
What's he saying?
He can't even run.
He can't even run, though. Oh, you're being mean. Don't be mean, Onesie. Okay, right, let's continue on. So, Zessel, you can now move diagonally across the map. Do you see people speedrunning this version from now on instead of using the originals? And how much time do you think this change could save?
I mean, over the originals, nah. People ain't going to try to learn a new pathing or anything like that. Personally, I don't like speedrunning, but People who've always played Final Fantasy 2/4, they'll probably try speedrunning Pixel Remaster 4 or
Definitely.
whatever. I'm just using 4 because that's my current game that I'm playing. But moving diagonally, yeah, it speeds up the game drastically.
Yeah.
And how much you can save hours because most of your Final Fantasies are 10+ hours, and
Yep.
that's just walking. And I'm pretty sure it affects the monster encounter timer as well
Okay.
because it's not considered a full tile when you're moving diagonally.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. I never thought about things like that.
Yeah, because if you move one tile, you're just going half a tile over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, well, we're now going to move on to our second opinion piece, which is from Miss KCDS. I really like that Twitch name. All of these guys are Twitch streamers, by the way. That well, everybody you see right now. Suit Zessel. We've had Kane Highwind. He's a Twitch streamer, and this one
I'm
is
a
Miss.
wannabe Twitch streamer.
This next opinion piece is from Miss Casey Diaz.
So my experience with Final Fantasy usually reigns in the realm of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and like more of the, be a little bit more focused on like the newer Final Fantasies, like from like the 97, 2001 range and stuff like that. And I never dabbled in Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, yada yada. So when the Pixel Remasters came out, it was the perfect opportunity for me to try it. Final Fantasy 1 is definitely different. So it was a new experience for me. But anything Final Fantasy has my heart. So I was like, this is definitely beautiful. But I'm not gonna lie to you. There are some moments for sure for me where I was like, wow, this is so hard. And I actually let my chat backseat on where to go because I wasn't actually used to playing a Final Fantasy game where you literally, they really don't give you any hints.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah, they do.
I'm down to talk to the townspeople and
Not
stuff, but
really.
I feel like even then it was
they
pretty
do.
vague on where to go. So it was definitely a new experience. However, I think having it be a pixel remaster and getting to like see some of these updated graphics and the music was so beautiful. It made the experience very magical, and I'm super grateful for it and the fact that they were willing to do a pixel remaster.
That was Miss Casey Diaz. Now, you two, in the middle of that, actually had a bit of a disagreement where Zessel believes that it's not hard to work out where to go through those early Final Fantasies and get a bit stuck, whereas Suit was sort of feeling more towards, actually, you can totally get lost and not really know where you're meant to be going during those Final Fantasy games. Do you want to talk about that before we move on to the next question?
Sure. So for me, they do say the names, but they don't give the location. That's the
Bullshit.
problem for me. No, it's not bullshit.
It's bullshit.
No.
All right. I am of sound mind that Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, every single one of them except 13 on because they suck. They give you adequate information on where to go.
Adequate information.
Okay, people are just used to being told, okay, you got to go exactly here to do this by a main story character. If you're playing a Final Fantasy 1, 2, or 3, try exploring and talking to everybody. Because they will tell you. You know, a lot of people in Final Fantasy 1 get stuck on trying to find the fairy that gives you the Oxyel. But if you actually explore the towns, people talk about a fairy seller. And they also tell you how fairies can give you Oxyel. And they tell you, hey, there's a traveler in the desert, go explore.
Hold on. Fuck you, onesie. Fuck you.
Okay, guys, calm your language. So really,
Take that back. 13 is legit. My ass.
okay, so I'm guessing really what you're saying overall is that when people, and Goose also wrote it in chat, is the word is exploring. So what you're supposed to be doing, what they expected you to do with these games, is to spend a lot of time talking to everybody.
Yes.
And taking in the whole experience, not just rushing through it. So if you had done things like that, then you would know where to go.
Yeah, what I'm saying is people are so used to just being told where to go and being shepherded through video games now that
suppose,
you know, I see with my own daughter. She's like, I don't know where to go. I'm like, have you talked to everybody? No, the main dude here didn't tell me where to go. I'm like, go talk to the other people, baby. And she's like, oh my god, I'm supposed to go here now. I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to go to the City of Mist in Final Fantasy IV. You know,
Paul has made a
So-
point in chat where his issue is that for some of them, if you save a game and then you come back to them a few days later, you've no idea where to go if you can't remember or haven't made a note.
well, see, but the Final Fantasy worlds are almost open world. Like you can almost always traverse back to where you've been before.
But here's the
So
thing.
go back and explore and
Yep.
talk to people again.
Mm.
All right. So, like, there is no excuse to getting majorly lost where you just give up on the game. You're just letting yourself down by not putting in the time. It's like it's almost like a job. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to go to work and just give 10% and expect to get paid and keep a job? No. You go to work, you give 90 to 100%, you get paid, and you're happy. Oingo boingo. You do that with Final Fantasy games and Dragon
Suit
Quest
have
too.
any comments back to Zessel, or should we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to
Boingo,
remind everybody,
boingo.
just to remind everyone in chat that we always have the option for you to put a question towards these guys, Suit and Zessel, and I will ask them at the end of the podcast. So
Please
if you
ask
look,
questions.
if you look at the channel points, there is only one option. I believe it is 50 points, so you should already have access to it. And any question related to the Pixel Remasters, throw them towards us, and I will read them out at the end of the podcast. So after Casey's opinion piece, which we've probably forgotten the main point of at this moment from all of the other conversation,
I totally forgot what she said.
it's all right. Let's move on to Zessel. So this is the first time the original 2D version of Final Fantasy III has been officially available in English. Have you played this version and the 3D version we had access to before?
Yes, I have. I played the 3D version about 2 or 3 times. I've played the 2D. I have actually mostly 100% of the 2D Pixel Remaster version, and I've played the original NES English patch version back when I was like 8 or 9 years old. 3D version sucks, by the way.
Yeah, I actually agree.
Okay, interesting. Do you know why did they just the 3D version came out for the 3DS, didn't it? That was
No, normal DS.
Nintendo DS.
Yeah,
Nintendo.
normal DS.
OG DS.
A
And I can
DS.
explain why
never
I
remember.
think it sucks. Do you want
other-
me to explain why
Go
I
for
think
it.
it
Quick
sucks?
summary.
Quick summary. Encounter rate's ridiculous. You still get class changing sickness. It's just a slog fest. That's all it is. If you're going through a dungeon, your characters don't even go that fast. Bam, combat. Get out of combat 5 minutes later, take 2 steps, bam, combat. It's not streamlined like it was back on the NES and now on the Pixel Remaster. And then you just get so frustrated because the high encounter rate and it's so long and monotonous, you just throw your Nintendo DS out your car window.
Yeah, everything he literally just said is accurate because I can still remember the day that I played it, and it took forever to get somewhere. It actually took forever. I believe I only got about 2 crystals of the 4 because I was so done with it. I was like, this takes for fucking ever. I'm done. Like it take
Goose, put that in the request stat. I want to answer that question.
What did Goose ask? Well, hopefully he'll put it in a question. My next question is related to that, and it's aimed at Suit. So why do you think they're only just giving us official access to the 2D version of Final Fantasy III now after 30 years?
So I did a little research for this. When Final Fantasy 1 was released in North America, it was 1990. And it was almost at the end for the NES era. Because Japan was already working on the Super Nintendo. So, and I believe just like, let's say a few months later, they realized how much of a huge success Final Fantasy was in North America, they already started making Final Fantasy IV. So they released Final Fantasy IV to America, which is called Final Fantasy II. Then they released Final Fantasy V, which was also not released in North America. And then they released Final Fantasy VI, which is called Final Fantasy III in North America. So there is theories and myths that there is a beta version for translation of Final Fantasy III, but that is just literally myths and legends. So that is pretty much why we only have Final Fantasy III access to this day. That is pretty much it. They just skipped Final Fantasy 2 and 3 because it was so late. Because, like I said, it was 364 days, like for Final Fantasy 2 release, I believe, after one. You said, Cecil?
So wait, repeat that. I was reading Goose's question.
It was about a year later, right? That Final Fantasy 2 was released.
Yeah,
after one
like
in Japan.
364 days, I think you said.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 2 came out 364 days after FF1 in Japan.
Yeah. So exactly. So they already were releasing, but yeah. So that is pretty much why.
Final Fantasy 4 in North America came out.
Yeah, that was 2.
Well, known as Final Fantasy 2 year, but it came out a year later here in the States after FF1 released here in the States.
The only reason why they did that, by the way, to name it Final Fantasy 2 and 3, it was to avoid confusion. That's literally the only reason.
Okay. And now it causes more confusion.
Not really.
I think everybody's generally accepted that the correct timeline, the correct numbering of the games. Yeah, I refer to my card as 4, even though it says 2 on it.
Yeah, but after Final Fantasy VII, I believe, then it was pretty much announced from all the Final Fantasy where they were released and when they were released after 7.
Yeah.
So.
So my next question is for both of you. We'll start with Zessel. What is your overall view on the release of these versions? Do you think they're a cash grab or a kindness to the community?
It's Square Enix. It's a cash grab, but I love them. I absolutely adore the Pixel Remasters. Like, if you want a hardcore challenge, go play the OGs. All right. If you just want a fun walk in the sun on the beach or whatever, play the Pixel Remasters. They're beautiful in and out. They're great. They're excellent for beginners of the franchise as well. You know, I can sit down, play Final Fantasy IV with my daughter, and her not get frustrated with it. And like later on, she can graduate to the SNES version or the 3D version, God forbid. But yeah. They're beautiful. They're overpriced. I'm not going to lie about that. They should be $10 a pop, not 17, 18, 19, 20. You know, but
they're about 12 here for one, which is also a lot.
My best suggestion is wait for them to go on sale. Like Square Enix has summer, winter sales. Wait for that. Pick them up. Have fun. Like, I can sit here and fast forward through combat because it's a slog fest and talk to my community. Heck yeah. They're worth it.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with them.
And
your turn, Gomi.
Yeah, Suit, do you think they're a cash grab or a kindness to the community?
I want to say it's kindness, but it's definitely cash grab. Definitely. Because like Cecil says, like, it's definitely worth it to play it. Because if you have not played the originals, then it's definitely worth to give it a try. Absolutely. But like you said, I would wait until they're on sale. Because if not, then I think it's a little bit too expensive.
Okay. Well, our next opinion piece, as I'm calling them, is from Dupefort Gaming. So this is not a visual, this is just an audio soundbite. So have a little listen to his thoughts and feelings about these Pixel Remasters.
I appreciate that Final Fantasy 1 and 2 are now available on Steam in some form, as they were a glaring omission from the collection. The gameplay is unfortunately neither OG or entirely new, so the result is a weird fever dream mix. It's also nice that 3 and 4 have their 2D versions available, The Pixel Remaster versions lack the additional content from later releases like the Seal Temple and related jobs for Final Fantasy V. Normally, it would be okay, but to replace a game with a version that has less content than the old one, that's a big oof.
There we go.
Yeah.
I appreciate Dupe's response. My moving on from what Dupe has actually said, Suit, how do you feel about the fact that they've removed the original versions from Steam and now you only have access to the remasters if you didn't already own those originals?
So here's my double-sided, I think. I would think it would have been perfect if they kept the originals on Steam. Why? It will probably be cheaper because I do not know the original prices from them. I do not know because I do think they would be cheaper, probably.
I think they were.
No, there you go. So for me, it would be perfect if the OGs were still on Steam, because someone who doesn't have like a tenner to spend, but maybe a $5, then that would have been perfect because you will probably have the same experience. So why remove them? I get it. It's now $11. And so, hey, cash, get in, you know? So for me, it's a little bit double-sided. However, if they removed it also from your library, that's fucked up. That is seriously messed up. If you do have them,
Oh,
check
they
my
haven't.
library.
They haven't done that. If you bought them before they were removing them, then you still have that version.
okay, that is
Okay.
fine. That is
Yeah,
totally
'cause
fine.
They
then.
they pointed out that they were taking them out of the Steam store, so that was your last chance to buy them if you wanted the originals.
Okay,
I'd
so
like
yeah.
to also add a bit when
Mhm.
Gomi's done with this.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think the reason why they removed it from Steam is because the community as a whole just had this adverse reaction to them. Yeah, they're crap ports from the mobile. And I think this is Square just trying to make things right, but slapping a band-aid on cancer kind of thing. You know?
Yeah.
But I still think they should have left the original mobile ports in, or actually just worked on the mobile ports instead of giving us the Pixel Remasters, or still done the Pixel Remasters, and we have a variety. We have an easy type and a normal type.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because these are way easier than what Steam just got rid of.
Yeah. I actually agree, because a lot of complaints would be Final Fantasy IV. That is way too easy. I see.
Yeah.
I read the reviews, and a lot of people are complaining about it, that it's too easy.
Oh, hell yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's ticking me off.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that.
So I'll add a question in at the end then. My next question in my list of things is another one for Suit. Do you believe that they were fully intended for a mobile-only audience, but they understand that they can make more money in having it across Steam as well? Because bear in
I
mind,
think
these remasters are now all on mobile as well, aren't they?
Yeah, so I think they would probably be perfect for mobile. However, I think it's still a bit weird because the PSP version was also on Android as well. So again, they did something really weird with that. So again, why not keep the same? Because they
I
did
don't
a
think
research.
the PSP version was on mobile. I think it was the 3D version that was on mobile.
Really? Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it was a 3D version on mobile.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you could install it on Android, maybe illegally. I do not know. But I do think it's more of a cash grab just to release it on Steam. Do I think it's bad? At least the quality from Steam, what they did? No, absolutely not. It is pretty decent. But I do think they were originally meant for mobile. At least I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Zessel, even though you've purchased and played these on Steam, do you still wish for a Switch version?
Why not? I mean, I'm not going to buy them on Switch because I have them on Steam, but
Yeah.
these are great renditions of everybody's favorite games. Why not have them where everybody can play them? Especially on Nintendo, where the games first came out on. So throw them on the Switch. What's there to lose?
I honestly don't know why
I can
they
lay
aren't.
in bed. Yeah, me neither. It's already on phone.
I still don't know why they aren't on PlayStation as well.
I mean, yeah, go ahead, Gummy.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they are also releasing it on PlayStation as well, because they could do a bundle for as well, maybe for I don't know, a 50, I don't know, something like that for all 6. Just throw it on there. Just throw it on there, get more money. You're actually wasting. Well, you're not wasting. You're losing actually on an opportunity.
Yeah, and like you said a while ago, Gomi, it being made for mobile, I think it was made to be universally played.
Yeah.
Because there ain't no touch control. Well, there's touch controls on the mobile, but it's all seamless. They can be put on anything. Because even the mobiles have controller support.
Yeah,
even though the Steam version technically don't. So
that is true. Like I said, for graphic wise, at least I think it's more mobile, but it's decent looking for at least a PC game. I find it pretty good.
Yeah. Play it on your smartwatch.
I feel like the font is very much made for mobile and doesn't transfer well on your PC version.
Absolutely. We're not talking about the font.
No. Immediately when I started up the game, I immediately knew, because I knew Cecil immediately was complaining about it, and when I started up, I was like, oh yeah, now I know exactly what he means. This is not good. Because even with the PSP version, it fit perfectly. This font is way brighter. It does not fit the Pixel one. With the PSP version, it fits. Everything fits.
Fit the pixel aesthetic of the game.
Exactly. This does not fit it at all.
Yeah.
But luckily, there's mods out there now. Like any other game Square Enix has released, the mod community has stepped up and fixed it for them.
Yep.
Yeah, straight away. So quick on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Zessel. Oh no, I've already asked. No, there is a Zessel. Do you expect that they might add the omitted dungeons as DLCs in the future? You're so fast on that. You're not meant to answer it before I finish the question. So for those of you at home that don't know my question, do you think that they will add the omitted dungeons as DLCs in the future?
No. What Square normally does is they're like, here's the product, bye. So they're not gonna, it took them 12 years to fix Chrono Trigger's little menu issue, and people have been complaining about it. So they ain't gonna put no extra work into this, and they have to. It's classic Square Enix tactic. They're like, here it is, accept it or give us more money.
Yeah, that is true actually. I don't think as well that they will add it at all. Absolutely not.
No, it looks like. I mean, and you both also agreed earlier on in the podcast that it's meant to be the original and sticking to the original. It's not meant to be one of the later versions that was brought out on a different console. So yeah, it makes sense that and exactly what Cecil says, that they make a product, they move on. My next question is for both of you, so we'll start with Suit. What changes do you expect with 5 and 6, the ones that are yet to be released, and what do you think they might leave out of 5 and 6, if anything?
So 5 and 6, the changes, I'm not sure, because I think they will stay the same as the originals, and what they will leave out is a lot.
Oh.
I did actually a lot of research. I have it right here. With Final Fantasy V, with the other versions, they had 4 extra jobs, which was Gladiator, Cannoneer, Necromancer, and the Oracle.
Yeah, that was the GBA version.
Oh yeah, GBA version, sorry. And they had Cloister of the Dead, which was a certain dungeon. For 6, they will leave out 2 bonus dungeons, other Ultima weapons, super bosses, and 4 espers.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of content.
That's added content that they're taking back out.
It's still a lot of fucking content.
Well, is it content that the people really enjoyed as a whole, or is it content that certain people enjoyed?
I really enjoy not playing it.
but I think it depends on where you started. I think that's the point, because Cecil plays a lot of the original, so he really does not really care about the other stuff. As I play a lot of the new stuff and missing out on all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tomato in chat is saying that they're going to mess up 5. I don't know what parts Tomato's really worried about. You're welcome to tell us in chat.
I don't think they're going to mess up 5 and 6, because if they screw up 6, they're going to lose a lot of people, and they know that, because a lot of people hold 6 in high regard, and same with 5. So they're going to do their best with 4, 5, and 6. I mean, 4 is great. I'm a little peeved that they took out the developer room in 4, but whatever. But they're not going to cut content that wasn't initially there.
Yeah.
In the SNES versions. They'll take out the stupid bonus dungeons, I guess. Ooh. Am I going to be sad to see the extra jobs go away? No, because you had to beat the game to get the original, those 4 extra jobs, if I remember correctly. So it don't even matter. So. It doesn't matter. That's not the core experience that you're going to get.
So
that is true.
So Tomato said, just don't rebalance the jobs to be less balanced.
Oh, they're gonna make the game easier. That's for sure.
Yeah,
which is disappointing, but hey,
it's gonna be great for me, guys. When I play all of these, I'm gonna breeze through them, no problem.
No, I want you to play Final Fantasy IV J2E edition.
That
is the original Japanese release of Final Fantasy IV.
This is where Sue goes and picks it up. There we go.
Final Fantasy V, original Japanese one.
And Goose also makes. I think this is a good point, actually. Goose loves watching.
I hurt my back doing this.
Oh, don't hurt your back. Goose loves watching other people beat super bosses, but he couldn't care less about doing it himself. I actually do enjoy watching some of you guys, lots of streamers. I enjoy watching you guys playing the super bosses and seeing how you handle the super bosses. Everyone's got their own styles, unless you're reading a walkthrough and then you're just sticking to the exact walkthrough that tells you how to do it.
A challenge.
Yeah, it's a challenge, and some people like those.
Let's see, I'm going to direct this to Crosis. Like, I already talked about that earlier, about how it's meant to be more of an opening for people to play it.
Yeah.
To come into the game, into the franchise. Suit flex for me, Suit.
Oh yeah.
All right, okay. Oh, yeah. So we're coming to our final few questions, and I have seen a bunch of you guys have put in some lovely questions. I've just seen some really nice questions coming in, and I'm very excited to ask you guys.
Don't we have another opinion that we need to
We
play?
do have. Don't worry, Sue.
Okay, sorry, I jumped the gun.
We've still got an opinion piece. But I'm just saying now, if you do have a question for either of these guys based on the Pixel Remasters, please put it forward. Just go into the channel points. It's 50 points, and ask a question for these guys, because they'll have some opinion of their own. So our final opinion piece that has been sent in to me is from Fico's Gaming Mind.
Yay!
So let me bring up his. Is a visual one, so let me just bring him up.
The fact that they took something old and made it new like this, but it still feels old, is good. I don't know if there is this debate on whether or not you would prefer the old versions of the games or the new versions of these games. I'm totally for the changes. I think that's a great idea. I think that involving the people that they got involved to work on these games is a really great idea, because it gives the Final Fantasy hardcore that seal of like approval of like, yeah, the people that worked on these games, and yeah, we're totally gonna go for those.
So Fico feels very much that the names that were involved in making the Pixel Remasters will have helped with the community being behind the remasters being made. asking the big questions now.
All right.
Starting with Zessel, out of the remasters already released, so that's 1 to 4 currently, do you prefer the original or the remaster?
Oof. It depends on how you look at it. Like I said, I grew up with the OGs. I know what to expect from the OGs. All right. Final Fantasy 1, I would actually go with the PlayStation 1 version.
Ooh,
All right.
that was a good one.
You still get the charge system, which I like. Screw MP, in FF1. But you get better visuals, bug fixes, and all that. If not the PS1, go with the NES. Well, I mean the Pixel Remaster. Final Fantasy 2 and 3 Pixel Remaster all day long. They just fixed so much wrong with 2 and 3 in the Pixel Remasters. But Final Fantasy 4, you don't touch my childhood. Final Fantasy 4 is on the SNES for me all
That's
day, every
cute.
day.
That's cute. I mean, yeah, that is very much your personal opinion. And what is Suit's personal opinion? Out of the remasters already released, do you prefer the original or the remaster? So 1 to 4.
I think I would choose the Pixel Remasters. However, with 4, I would rather play the OG just because of the difficulty.
Woo! High five.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But for everything else, I would choose the Pixel Remaster. For 1, for example, I would choose the Pixel Remaster just because of the music. Because with the original, you had just one battle music, and that's it. So, yeah, and I love my variety a little bit. With 2 and 3, definitely also Pixel Remaster, because I cannot stand to go sluggish again with Final Fantasy 3. Hell no.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Nice. I think, honestly, I think this podcast... We've still got questions, guys. Don't worry. But I think these...
We basically agreed, Gomi.
I think
again, 3 times.
I think these questions and answers will help many people make up their minds as to whether they should buy them or not. So, my next question is, which of the Pixel remasters, now this is obviously going to be 1 to 4 because 5 and 6 aren't out yet, which of the Pixel remasters stands out to you the most as the best remake? We'll start with Suit.
Well, I've only played 1 for now. I'm also going to be playing 4 because I also play 3, but my higher really what I want to play 4 first. So that definitely be one that I actually really want.
But do you think that's the one that they will have made as the best remake? Do you think the remaster
as the best one
out of the 4?
Out of 4, I think then the best one would be 3. As I hear Cecil talking, I think they probably did the best one on 3.
And Zessel,
with all the
oh, sorry, Sue, go on.
No, with all the changes they made, I think 3 would probably be the best outcome.
Do you agree, Zessel?
Oh, I agree. 3 all day. Like 2, they fixed the little annoyances in 2, but it still sucks. Final Fantasy 1, they just made it easy. Whatever. But Final Fantasy 3, you still got a little bit of a challenge going on, but they fixed so many issues with the game. Basically, no more summoning sickness, no more class sickness. That just makes the game, like I said earlier, it goes from scraping the barrel to top tier whiskey, man. Like, it's probably number 4 or 5 on my list of top 5.
It's interesting. It's interesting that they appear to have made, or maybe put the most effort into making gameplay changes for 3 out of all of them. Like, it clearly had problems, maybe more than the others.
Nah, they listened a little bit to the communities and all of them, but number 3, it's a new development team, and they're like, this is crap. Let's take that out. This is crap. Let's take that out. This sucks. Take it out.
Okay.
But just to put it bluntly.
Okay.
Yeah, they made it a better Final Fantasy without realizing they made it a better Final Fantasy.
Okay.
By the way, just a little bit, I do have to say with Final Fantasy 1 for the difficulty, the only way why it increases my difficulty a little bit is for the spell slots. However, the HP for every enemy is so low, because even the Lich, which I'm not even at yet, I just actually took a peek, has 400 HP.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That is one of the main 4 bosses. Why would you give that one 400 HP? I don't get that, because one of the minions even has more.
Well,
So my mind was blown by that.
Well, in Final Fantasy 1 with the spell chart system, they overhauled the spell chart system too. Like, you can forget magic, you can swap magics out with everybody. Well, this is with 1, 2, and 3. But in the spell chart system, I think you used to only cap it like 20 spell charts. Now you cap it like 50. They've most definitely increased it to where it's not really that big of a deal. It's a minor nuisance, but you still got to think about how you're going to use your charges. And plus, you get so many extra items in the game that do the spells for you. You should never have to worry about the spell charges.
To be fair, though, I don't get why they have like the forget option. Because why would I want to buy? Because usually you're using only main certain amount of spells.
Oh, in case you want to experiment, like let's say you get hold on, I got the tier 1 list up here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you learn Cure, Dia, and Protect, right?
Yeah.
And you really realize, man, I am not using Dia. Let's forget that and learn Blink instead.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
You know, because in all the other versions, you cannot forget spells.
True.
You know, if you screw up, you screwed up.
Yeah, okay.
You should have read the book.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, then it makes sense, actually. Fair enough.
Okay, and will you be buying the final remasters 5 and 6? And do you recommend others to buy these new versions over the originals? We've touched on this a little bit. We'll start with Zessel.
Well, I'm a Final Fantasy whore, so of course I'm going to get them. You know, somehow I'll get them. But, and would I recommend them? If you never played 6 or 5 before, get it, play it, enjoy it, then graduate to the big boy pants. You know, because I know they're going to be easier. But whatever.
Yeah.
I'm also looking forward to seeing what they do.
Yeah. Suit, what about yourself? Do you think you'll be buying 5 and 6? And will you recommend them to others?
Would I recommend them to others? Yes. Like I said, if you have not experienced it, just give it a chance. So, for 6, for example, that is definitely a must-buy. Abso-fucking-lutely. 6 is probably what made people go into Final Fantasy a lot. Probably. Including with 4 as well. So, yeah. I would definitely buy it. And do I recommend it? Yes. Absolutely.
And for both of you, we'll start with Suits. Which of these remasters do you suggest a complete newbie play first, and why?
I would
out of
actually
these Pixel 1 to 6, which one do you think an absolute newbie who's never played any Final Fantasies before should start with?
I think 1. Why? You get... Yeah, you're gonna get used to the combat. Of course, the magic system will change, but you won't have. Well, let's say either 1 or 4. Why? With 1, you can get a little bit used to the combat, to the magic spells, and what the enemies are weak to. With 4, it's like a whole different thing because with the ATB system, so. I kind of recommend 1 or 4 for a newbie to start with. But mostly I would recommend 1 just purely for the magic spells and everything like that, and what like blindness is and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would recommend 1 first.
Zessel?
I would actually recommend 3 for Once in My Life. Because it starts off easy, okay? but it does naturally progress into more difficult stuff. But there is so much fun in that game. You can experiment with classes all day long, level up the classes. I want to be a red mage next, but I want to be a black mage next. I want to be a paladin next. I want to be a bard and die. You know,
Hey, bards are fantastic. Don't get me.
yeah,
even
fantastic at dying, but you know, there is so much fun to have in 3 because it's open ended. 1, it's very closed loopish. You know, you go to point A to point B to point C to back to point A and beat the game. But Final Fantasy 4, very similar to 1. You go to point A to point B to point C, back to point A, then back to point D. But the 3, the world opens up at the right time with this Pixel remaster. I love it. I hate bards, but yeah.
Okay.
Play 3. Y'all really need to play 3. I love
So you're
Final
suggesting
Fantasy
an
4.
absolute newcomer plays 3 first?
Telling you to play 3.
Okay. Interesting.
But
Very
are there
interesting.
1, 2,
Hey,
and 3,
Fico.
4 didn't have Moogles. Moogles started in 5.
Yeah, correct.
But they had beavers and pigs.
Yeah, we had Beaver in 2. I speak Beaver. Which,
Okay.
oddly enough, beavers were supposed to be Moogles, but
Yeah, I guessed as
Yeah.
much. Right, guys, we are now on to the chat questions. So if anybody in chat still hasn't put a question towards Suit and Zessel and would like to go through the channel points option, select ask a question. Otherwise, I'm going to have lost it in chat. So you need to pop it in that system so that I can read it out. So I'm going back to our earliest questions. Where Onesie actually was asking Sue, when are you going to play 13, 13-2, and Lightning Returns?
Well, I actually already own Final Fantasy 13 and I believe 13-2.
I thought you had, to be honest.
I hate them with my. I like 13-2. Why? Because of the combat system and the leveling up mechanics. Because you can level up non-stop, unlike 13, which is bullshit. I hate the leveling up system in 13. I hate it. Will I play it? Probably when I have a better PC. Until then,
that's my question.
Until then, I will not fucking play it. Absolutely not. 13-3, by the way, as well. Awful. Hate it.
Thank you for riling Suit up there, Onesie. Let's move on.
I agree with you, Gomi.
Thank you, Cecil.
Goose is asking the question. This is going back a little bit now. Why exactly are these games a cash grab if all they are supposed to be is a remaster, aka available for modern day consumers? Which is a very good point. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I will totally take this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, they're a cash grab because these games have been released over and over and over. And you have access to them elsewhere for free. And it's a cash because basically Square Enix is beating a dead horse. They changed just enough to make it interesting. But they're great. They're still good games. So it's a cash grab. Plus that, would you pay $20 for a game that takes you 10 hours to beat or a game you've played 1,000 times before? And that's the question you got to ask yourself.
Well,
Fair enough.
my response is, as someone who's never played the original 5, I've played 6, and wanted to. I didn't want to have to emulate 1 to 3. So having this available on Steam to me now has completely opened everything up and also making it easier.
I will send you my Final Fantasy 1 cart and a Nintendo. I have like 4 of them.
Well, I don't have these things. So with the diagonal movement, with the map on the screen, with the whole new orchestrated music, like it's for someone like me who never played them when they were, younger, it's a whole new thing, and I am there for it. So I am more interested in it now than I was when it was first announced. So moving on to a question Tomato put in. H-Bomb, which of the Pixel remasters will you be playing? All of them. I would like to play 1 to 6. I haven't played Final Fantasy in a long time because I haven't had an opportunity to. We were getting through 12, and then instead of going on to 13, I'm gonna go backwards because I have one, and I've probably bought 2 already as well, maybe even 4. I can't remember, but yeah. So I do intend to play the Pixel remasters of these because I never had the chance in the first place. Daniel Des 88. I like this question very much. Do you guys think it would have been better to make a proper remake of 1 to 6 on the Octopath Traveler engine instead of the Pixel remaster we received?
Here's a fun fact, because I heard that this was a long discussion as well, among a lot of fans, actually. Do I think that would be good? Absolutely. But would it portray the original style?
Exactly.
That is actually a really difficult answer, and I don't think that would portray it. Would it be good? Absolutely.
It would be beautiful. But like I said earlier, like the Pixel Remasters is how I remember seeing the games when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Octopath Traveler is only like 4 years old. It looks very beautiful. I would love to see like Final Fantasy IV in that art style. Because Dragon Quest III is coming out in that art style, and I absolutely love Dragon Quest III. So, but I don't think Final Fantasy could get away with it because this is what people know. This is what people love. And this is what they were aiming for. When I sit down, I play Final Fantasy 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. I am taken back to the 90s, sitting in front of my computer or TV and just playing and loving it, except for the text. Text sucks.
But I am afraid that they would change the difficulty, by the way, for Dragon Quest as well. And if that's gonna happen, that would fucking suck.
No, they will never change the difficulty of Dragon Quest because there's like an unwritten law. Like, you don't mess with Dragon Quest like that.
Nope.
Oh, let's keep that sound bite and see what happens. My next question, I've got another one from Goose, which is a slight change on one of the questions we've asked earlier. Would you rather advise people to buy the remasters or maybe just emulate them?
Oof.
Wait, who's that asked towards?
That's from Goose, and it's for either of you. If you have any response to that, would you suggest people play? Would you rather people play the remasters or emulate the originals? Because that's what they'd have to do.
It depends on where you come from. Like, if you're a seasoned veteran of JRPGs and this combat style, just emulate them because you're not going to get no satisfaction out of the Pixel remasters except for 3. 3 is the exception here, Yeah. But if you're a newcomer to the franchise, you don't know anything about RPGs, or you want to play them with your kid and be able to hand your kid the controller and, hey, play this. Pixel remasters all day. All right. They're simple and easy enough for a kid to follow, but for also the kid to feel proud of themselves that they accomplished something that's not run and gun.
It's true. Going back to the Octopath question, Crosis says, as pretty as I think Octopath is, you would change the look and it would look ugly to veterans, except definitely. For 6. I think Final Fantasy 6 would fit Octopath Traveler style well.
We already asked that.
Oh, okay. Very recently, Crosis. I know, Crosis, that's Crosis responding. It's not a question. It's him responding to the Octopath question. So Fico asked a question. We might have answered this one. Also with these games, do you think there is something these games have that the later ones are missing? As in, Fiko, I'm not quite sure I understand your question. Are you talking about the later in the series, like 7 onwards? As in after 6. Right, okay. So Fiko's question is, with these games, do you think that there is something that these, either remaster or not remastered, have that Final Fantasy VII onwards do not have as an experience? I'm guessing is the main thing.
Oh, as an experience.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I'm sorry, Gomi.
No, go ahead.
No, when you play 7, 8, 9, everything's a 3D full-fledged out world.
Yes.
You do not have to use your imagination. And that is what makes 1 through 6 or any 16 8-bit game magical. Because I can imagine Cecil one way, and Gomi here can imagine him another way, and they'd be totally different. They have the core elements like blonde hair, wears gold and blue armor, or whatever color his crap is. You know, but ultimately the face structure in my imagination would be different than Gomi's. You look at Cloud or Squall, there's no imagination to be had. Castle Baron, you can imagine how Castle Baron looks, and you can meld yourself into the game and make it your own world. Versus 7,
true.
8, or 9, which are phenomenal games, the imagination is gone as far as you being able to make it personal.
I agree. Because with Final Fantasy 1, when I walked into the Chaos Shrine, I always imagined how it would look in 3D. Always. I was like, this would probably be an awesome place or a very scary place to walk on.
I think the best way to describe it is 16 and 8-bit games is like reading a book, and 3D games is like watching a movie.
Yes, absolutely. I actually agree on that. Yep, definitely.
It's a very, very nice line, actually. I just noticed that Catnip's asking in chat for a complete newbie who's never played any of the Final Fantasies, so not even just 1 to 6. Which one will you suggest that they play first out of all of the Final Fantasy games? Crosis suggested 10.
10 is also a pretty good one.
10 is good to start with, but it's too far advanced in its mechanics that you will probably have difficulty going back and playing. I think you should start with like 4 or 5 because that's good middle ground. The ATB system's there, but it's new. It's not too far a stretch from 1, 2, and 3, where they just use your turn, their turn system.
Hmm.
And I recommend 1. So yeah.
But out of the Pixel Remasters, I
them?
recommend 3. So you got yourself some options there.
Yeah.
You know,
See,
there really ain't no wrong point.
I would never have suggested 10 as the first Final Fantasy
Me neither.
for somebody to
same.
get into.
Nope.
Maybe 9 because it's got good enough animation, and obviously it's harking back to the original Final Fantasies. It's possibly 9.
Well, the reason why I didn't say 9 is because it alludes to all the past FFs, and it even alludes to Final Fantasy X, I believe. So you miss a lot of stuff if you play 9 for your first. But 9 is a beautiful game. I love 9.
There is. That is true. That is true. I didn't think of it that way.
For me, as a starter, when I actually started with my whole Final Fantasy stuff with 12, the whole experience with that game, of course, aside a little bit of the story and some characters, the whole gameplay was fantastic. The enemies were fantastic. The whole world building was actually really great for me. Just the feeling of walking in on all of these places was so fantastic, and that is why I kept playing all these Final Fantasy games, because just exploring all of these places that are so big and beautiful, that is what kept me going. So would I recommend 12 as a starter? Probably not, but I do think if you like great world building and just seeing all of those giant places, I would recommend it, actually.
Gomi, we all know you like Final Fantasy 12 for Vaughn's abs.
No.
Yes,
absolutely
for
not.
his abs and not
No.
another character at all. Okay, let's move on. So Crosis asked the question, would you recommend an experienced veteran to play the Pixel remasters, or is there nothing for them to experience?
What? Again? Sorry, I spaced out a little bit.
Would you?
Tell me
So
about it.
Crosis has asked, would you recommend an experienced veteran to play the Pixel remasters? So Crosis is asking, or is there nothing for them to experience in playing these Pixel remasters? Is it worth it for them, basically?
That's a good one.
It is.
My opinion. Go ahead, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go first.
My opinion is, if you're an experienced veteran, just play 3. You ain't going to gain nothing playing 1, 2, or 4 at this point. Because I like to consider myself an experienced veteran of Final Fantasy Retro. But they're exciting and fresh, but it's the same. You know, there's a familiarity there, but it's easy.
Yeah,
It's simple. Like, if you're used to the difficulty of 4 and you find like 4 hard, I mean easy, don't play Pixel Remaster, because you'll be like, this is boring.
Okay.
For me is because of the changes of like certain systems in like 1. That is probably why I only wrote recommended, just to have like a little bit of a new experience with that kind of a system. But everything else, as a veteran, I will probably not recommend it.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I only recommend 3.
So I wonder what the percentage difference is of for people buying the Pixel remasters between who are classed as veterans that have played all of the other Final Fantasies and the originals, and absolute noobs like me who haven't played the original 6 before. I wonder what that percentage would be.
I think all the veterans are buying it because they're like, oh, it's Final Fantasy. It's a new way of playing it. And then they're just like, oh, it's fucking easy.
Well, there we go. Hopefully this podcast will have helped those people that haven't yet made that decision to maybe hold on to those pennies for something else. If anybody else in chat has some more questions, please chuck them in the channel points question thing now for me. I have a couple extra questions to throw towards Soot and Zessel that I came up with during this podcast. Because
Paul makes a good point.
Paul's making a point. I'm a veteran. I haven't bought them. Not sure I will unless they go on mega sale.
Yeah, we actually discussed that.
Yeah. If they go on sale and you got the extra scratch to throw about, pick them up. Pick 3 up. You know,
really
and have fun with it.
Yeah, or pick 4 and 6.
3. You know, we can't discuss 5 or 6 yet because they ain't out, but everybody's going to buy 6.
Yeah.
But
you reckon?
I'm going to buy 6.
6 is universally loved.
Yeah.
You know,
6 and 4 are probably the most loved 2 of all of them.
But what if they ruin it?
Well, if they ruin it, I'm going to be pissed.
They're going to have a lot of returns.
Okay, so my questions that I have made up for you guys is you have mentioned so many times this evening that these versions are easy. Do you think they have been purposefully made easy for the new generation of people, considering what people are like in society today compared to how people were?
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
They've sort of dumbed it down a lot for the current crowd.
Why? Because a lot of people have not played the originals, and that is probably why they've made it a lot easier to just get them into the series. That is probably the only reason why.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not bashing this generation because this generation is hella smart, but they're being raised in a society that's totally different than what we were raised in. Games were intentionally hard when we were children because of space limitations. Okay, you know, like I was letting my daughter play Mega Man 1 the other day. Okay.
Oh, that game was hard.
After 20 minutes of playing, she gave up. Same age when I first played it. She didn't bother jumping, and she didn't bother shooting. She didn't bother trying the A and B buttons out. She just gave up because there was no sense of direction. You you know. So
I can see that.
you know, in our generation, we're used to like, you're the hero, go do shit.
Yeah, with a lot of the games, yep.
You know, and then you got to go figure stuff out on your own and do the critical thinking.
As I started out, let's say, with the main 3D platforms like Super Mario 64, I could not read English like properly. I was still a little bit too young, but I just explored bullshit. But I just
still
explored.
can't speak English.
But I just explored and somehow I went in the painting, and then it just clicked to me like, I think this is a part of the purpose of the game, because then you went into another room and still a big painting is there, and then it just clicks. You just go out and do things. So yeah, I think it is a little bit of a shame that the difficulty is lowered, to be honest, but that is maybe just because I'm a little bit more of a challenge person, but yeah.
Daniel in chat has actually said, can it be that we feel them way too easy also because we've become better gamers than we were when the games first came out? We are grown-ups now.
No.
Got a grown-up brain, everybody.
Like, Final Fantasy IV is still challenging to me. I have legit played Final Fantasy IV over 100 times in my life. I've never been able to sit there, just hold a button down and run and go. I've always been challenged at Scargamiliane and Rubicante. Yesterday, I forgot half the battle. Like, I forgot, like, you could do certain stuff in the battle, like have your party res by Rubicante if you guys fire on escape. I forgot about that, and I still steamrolled him, and I don't think I died once. And you watch the video down here, Dark Elf here is normally a pain in the ass to fight. I steamrolled him.
Yeah.
So wait, do we know for certain that maybe the HP levels have actually changed, or is it?
They have.
We do actually know that they've lowered the levels.
Let me check.
I love that question, Croesus.
We'll ask Croesus. We'll ask Croesus to Zessel while Suit is finding the research out for us. Do you consider Chrono Trigger a Final Fantasy game? It's not, he says in brackets.
Absolutely not.
How likely do you see them doing a remake of Chrono Trigger, and how excited would you be if it panned out?
Okay, anybody that knows me knows I absolutely adore, love, and cherish Chrono Trigger. To me, Chrono Trigger is a Final Fantasy game. Okay, it was made by almost the same team. It's a Final Fantasy with a fancier name. Okay, and honestly, better gameplay than the Final Fantasies of that era, whatever. And if they made a remake, of Chrono Trigger like the Pixel Remasters, and they don't do it right, I will be highly upset. The whole community will, because everybody holds Chrono Trigger in high regard.
Yeah, same.
Because like everybody goes like, well, if you don't like 4, you can play 5. If you don't like 5, you can play 6. If you don't like Chrono Trigger, there's nothing else to go play. You know, within the same feel.
I actually find Chrono Trigger probably one of the most magical games out there.
Yes, I love Chrono Trigger too, Gomi.
I still get chills every time when I hear the scream every time. It's so good. By the way, I found out.
Yep.
So for the stats, for the HP of Lich for the NES was originally 400. So they did not change it. However, for the PSP, why I found that more difficult was 1200. So they increased it.
So they've actually taken it back to the original values.
Yes.
No, values on your party are different.
Yeah, that's true. But to be fair,
a bunch of glitches.
Yeah, but to be fair, I actually died a few times on the Lich when I was on the PSP because I just rushed a little bit through it. Because that battle was a little bit challenging with the fucking flares. But with now the NES, when they did all the originals, I don't see myself having a challenge, to be honest.
There's no real challenge in the remakes. No. Except for maybe 3.
Okay, I have another question that kind of leads on for this from this whole everything's easy thing. would you have preferred it, or if it's probably going to happen with mods, if they make these Pixel remasters more difficult? So if they had an option, say, in the menu where you could change some of the settings to make it,
Yeah.
you would like that.
It would
Yes,
be cool
absolutely.
It'd be cool if they had easy, original, hard as balls.
Okay.
I actually agree with that.
Yeah.
because for with the original and the Pixel, they don't go as much, so they're not different. But if you like have a harder mode, absolutely, I would want that.
I am always down to play a more difficult FF if it's balanced right.
Yeah.
Like New Threat. You should play New Threat in Final Fantasy VII.
So do you think they would make a mod for these Pixel remasters then, if they are easier? Do you think there'll be people out there right now making them more difficult? Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Okay. And could you make your gameplay of these remakes more difficult yourself? Is there anything that you could change in the way that you play these so that you
Don't use
actually end up
magic.
making it more difficult?
Don't buy gear.
Cecil only uses Bard in Final Fantasy 3.
Get fucked.
You
You only have to use Red Mage. So every time you attack, you think of me because I'm a Red Mage.
Yep. But also maybe a thief. Yep. Ooh. Like a Nuzlocke kind of thing. Oh, that would be actually.
Dude, that'd be cool. Like a FF3 Nuzlocke. Well, not because they do random death abilities. Like you're dead.
Well, that's then too bad. That's death.
Well, it can't be countered. There's no way of defending against it.
Yeah, well, that's too bad. Then it's death. It's death for death. Simple as that.
Yeah, okay. FF1, you fight that Amarin, in and when he casts Glaze on you and you just petrify and die. And run.
Well, technically, it's petrifying is not dying because you can still get experience.
But it's a party wipe.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so I've come to the end of my questions. If anyone in chat has questions, you don't need to put it through the channel points thing at this point because I can probably just read the chat. If you have any more questions about the Pixel Remasters, pop them in right now. I was going to say one final thing, and now I've immediately had a brain fart and completely forgotten what it was.
Why do I feel like me and Gomi are children and H-Bomb is our mom trying to
get
us to quit acting up?
Thank you for reminding me by making me be the mother. So my final question is, when I first asked you to be on this podcast episode, what was your stance on the Pixel Remasters, and has that stance changed since we've gone through the research and for the questions for this? Episode?
Gomi.
No, not really.
So what was your stance at the start, and what is it now? Do you believe that the Pixel Remasters are worth playing or not?
So let me just clarify, like, before I played Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, I still thought it was overrated and nonsense. However, playing it, I do see more worth to it, definitely. And do I still find it worth buying them? Yes, absolutely. However, for this price, no. I still will wait for the sale to come on and then buying it. Unless, of course, you've never played it, then it's your own choice. But as a veteran, just start maybe when it's on sale.
Exactly.
Cecil?
My viewpoint has always been give it a chance. Like, when I first saw the artwork, I was like, oh, it's a cash grab. It's an obvious cash grab from Squeenix.
Yeah.
And everything Squeenix do is a cash grab, especially with the Final Fantasy franchise. But is it a good cash grab? Yeah. You never played Final Fantasy? There you go. Pixel Remaster, you get to feel like a kid in the 90s. Go for it. Have fun. Later on, graduate, get an NES emulator, get the ROM, have fun. Or buy an NES and buy it and play it.
Those things are harder to
game.
do these days. You got to get all the connections to be able to connect them to monitors and stuff. It's a lot harder.
No, you don't. You can get a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, that's what
Get,
I mean. Extra stuff.
Or get a what do they call Raycon or whatever. They play like 5 different consoles in one.
Okay.
Get a computer.
I have
a retrograde.
I have a question for chat. For those of you in chat, after answering all of these questions, have any of your stances changed? Do any of you in chat now think that you might purchase one of the Pixel remasters? If so, which one? And why? What's your thoughts overall, guys? What do you think has come out of this? Out of this evening's podcast? I am very interested. So Paul says, I still have the PS versions and a means to play them. So Paul hasn't played them.
Paul, we're going to talk later on.
Yeah.
When I get rich, I want to buy some stuff off of you. I need them for my PlayStation, okay? I'm a PlayStation nerd.
Goose says that he really thinks he's going to pick up 3 now, thanks to you guys raving about. I mean, Zessel's really raved about 3.
I was about to say Zessel.
Play 3. Even if you played the 3D version is hot garbage. It's like your ex-wife, okay? Or ex-husband. It's garbage. Play Pixel Remaster 3.
Don't make Sue snort.
It's like last week's underwear you're still wearing.
Catnip says, I'm going to stick with emulators. Paul says, I have played them, just not in years. Okay, well, that's acceptable. Zessel keeps selling on 3, says Tomato. Yeah, Zessel does keep keen on selling on 3. Swiggle's just saying no.
Let me tell you how much I love 3. Okay, I got done streaming it. I still continued playing it 5 days later. I got all my classes to 99. I got Onion Knights to 99. I got mostly all the Onion gear from grinding yellow, red, and blue dragons. Okay. It is such a good experience for once for Final Fantasy 3. I wish they fixed FF2 like that, but FF2 still blows. Just not as bad.
Interesting. Crosis has said he's going to buy 1, 2, and 4, which has surprised me.
He's saying that despite me.
Probably.
Daniel says, I already bought the bundle of 1 to 6, but I have a problem with Final Fantasy. Love every game, and I think the Pixel Remasters of fun makes you be a kid again. There we go. I like that. That's very good.
Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm being facetious. Yes, Crosis is being facetious. Thanks, Crosis, as always. Well then, if
gaming, not Crosis.
If that is everybody's questions and everybody's thoughts in chat, Suit and Zessel, do you have any more thoughts or points about the Pixel remasters that you feel we haven't touched upon this evening? Nope.
I do.
Go on, Zessel.
Go on.
If you are curious about the Pixel remasters, that sexy fucker up there, go follow him. He's going to play them. He's going to play 3. Okay?
Eventually.
Go check him out and judge for yourself, because everything here is just a matter of opinion. Go play 3. But it's up to you. Do your research. See what suits you more. Okay? Get it? Suit?
Sorry.
Follow Gomi now.
But seriously, I think we literally need to follow Cecil as well, since he's playing 4 and probably gonna play 5 and 6 as well. So we also need to check him out down below as well.
Fico said, I think I will get the Pixel remasters as I have already played the first one in remaster form and I just don't see myself going through the hardships of the original for the same story. I agree with you, Fico. Persis said, question for H-Bomb. Have you bought them? What is your personal opinion on it without having played it? I have bought, I think Zessel bought me one of them. I think you bought me number 1. And
yeah, I bought you one.
And then I think I've recently purchased maybe 4. And I mean, I honestly, I'm gonna get all of them. My opinion is still the same situation in that I never got to play the originals. I could not get an emulator to work on my end. I just don't understand how to do these things. So I was really happy when I heard that 1 to 3 were going to be re-released as Pixel Remasters, because it meant that it was a very easy option for me to be able to play these games that I never had before. So I will definitely be doing that. Let me keep reading the rest of chat. Tomato, thank you very much for shouting out Soot and Zessel.
Thank you, Tomato.
Thank you for the vol, Daniel.
Thank you, Tomato.
And play 3 8 more times. Yes, exactly. Good job, Plews. That'll make for a good YouTube video. Yes, exactly. Thank you, everyone. Broken. Yes, I'm just reading through chat now. So.
Oh, Croesus, that was before I played 3.
Why didn't you buy her the third one? I think he bought me the first one when they came out and told me to play it. Secret
I saved my lunch
yes,
money up to
exactly.
get her that.
He did.
Thank you for the follow, whoever followed.
It was very, very kind. So, also, can I just shout out? So we are at the end of the podcast. Let me just do some shout outs for our other lovely opinion piece people that popped in today. So we had Kane Highwind 27. He was our first opinion piece. Thank you very much, Kane. He is a very big Final Fantasy streamer as well. All these guys are big Final Fantasy streamers. So Kane is somebody that you can check out. He is an American time zone. I can't remember which one. So that's when you'll
Eastern,
find
looks
him.
like Maya.
I'm always asleep when Kane is live. I have to watch the VODs. Our second one was Miss Casey Diaz. There you go. Oh, last playing Metal Gear Solid 3. Very interesting. But she has recently been playing the original Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters. She said in her piece about how she'd never played those before, so I'm probably going to have a very similar experience when I get round to it.
Yay.
Our next one is Dupefoot Gaming.
Correct.
He has been playing 13-2 to completion.
Which is okay in my opinion.
He's very much been enjoying the 13 series, I guess it is, of Final Fantasy recently. Probably because he found out about using some Moogle throwing, I think, to get through the game. So he's just been throwing a Moogle around. Who else have we had? We've had Fico.
The lovely Fico.
Fico.
Thank you. Who else just followed?
Fico has been on leave, but he is coming back to streaming this weekend. I believe it is, Fico.
Correct.
And he does a lot of spooky streams during October. The whole month of October, he does a lot of extra streams doing spooky games. So look forward to those. All of these are wonderful streamers, of course. Have a look through everybody, and everyone in chat, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for throwing your questions towards us. Our next podcast is actually, this is a very good topic that we could ask right here on the spot. October's podcast is going to be a Halloween special quiz.
Quiz?
Who would like to maybe be one of our guest quiz people on next month's podcast episode? So if there's anyone in chat that is interested in taking part in the quiz, live like Soot and Zessel are here, you can get in contact with me anywhere, Discord, Twitter, here on the Whispers, anyway, or just however you know me. Get in contact if you would like to be involved in the next podcast episode. If you don't want to be a guest on the episode, but you would still like to do the quiz part, I have it as a very interactive quiz. We have 3 rounds where it's got a picture, a sound round, and general questions round. And you guys at home can answer every single question, apart from the lightning round that we do at the end for the 2 guests. Soot, you got a question?
Fico just said Cecil versus Gomez in Final Fantasy 3 trivia.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say something similar. If Gomez is going to be on, I have got to go against Gomi.
Ooh, I need to play it first,
There's
though.
got to be a Z versus G.
Oof.
You see, I don't remember. I know that you two have both done quizzes before, but I can't remember who was against whom in previous
I lost
quizzes.
against Kane because of technicality.
Oh, yeah, I seem to remember that, yes.
Yeah.
And Sue, were you against Croesus?
Yes.
I was on the first one. Croesus and Gomi was on the second one.
Speedrun it, cat? Hell no. I still need to play it first.
So yes, Tomato, we do need to think of questions. That's another thing. If anybody in chat also would like to throw some ghoulish type questions based on Final Fantasy in my general direction, please do. Any kind of questions is very helpful because it's a lot pulling together these quizzes. So I always appreciate any extra help that people are able to offer for me. And it is a really good, fun episode that we have. Also, I hope you guys all had lots of fun with tonight's Pixel Remaster. I was very looking forward to this topic, and I thought that Soot and Zessel were a really good team to discuss their gripes and grievances about these Pixel Remasters and which ones they liked
There's
most.
never going to be a Zessel versus Croesus because it's just like, you know what? Fair point, Zessel. Fair point, Croesus. It's just going to come into an agreement. Like, me and Gomi are too similar. We will argue and bicker with each other. Gomi is my twin from the Netherlands.
This is true. Are the quiz games related to Final Fantasy? Yes, Catnip. Yes. So it's so I do this. It's just like this. It's a Final Fantasy podcast, but it's a whole quiz, and I try to make it Halloween based. We have a spooky VV in the emotes and things like that, and on screen. And then I also do a Christmas quiz that's Final Fantasy based, and an Easter one. So it's been a little while. But we've got two coming up very close succession to each other. So I do need 4 people willing to be on the next quiz show. If anyone is up for it, please let me know. All Final Fantasy knowledge is helpful to get through.
Well, do an All-Stars thing.
Do an All-Stars. There is that. I was thinking possible All-Stars.
Maybe a New Year.
Because we've had a few of you guys on there.
Me, Kane, Suit, Croesus, and the other 2 guys from the third. Yeah, you had a third one, right?
Yeah, I can't remember who I've had on now. I need to look through it. But anyway, that will be next month. Everybody that's been here tonight, thank you very much. Thank you for everybody taking part. Thank you very much for sending in your opinion pieces. I really liked that extra aspect to this evening's episode. It will be going up on YouTube tomorrow, and it will also be across all of the actual audio podcast, the original podcast ways. So if you go on your iPhone, or if you go on Spotify even, you'll find it on there from tomorrow, maybe Friday morning. Thank you very much for being here, and let's say our goodbyes with Soot and Zessel once again. If you could please just explain when you are streaming and the general kind of stuff that you stream, just so people know to go follow you, because they should. So, Sue, if you could go first, please.
Oh, hi. Well, I stream when it is possible, pretty much. I stream a lot of retro games. Also a lot of Souls games recently, because I love that. And, pretty much doing also voice acting on the side. Yeah, that's pretty much it, actually. I don't have anything else, really. No.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh. Sutan, Zessel both do voices, guys. Zessel, yourself, when do you stream? What kind of things do you stream?
I stream when I'm not busy at work, or when I'm not being a full-time dad. But I'm streaming tonight. Haha. But shameless plug. I also do voice acting.
What are you streaming this evening, though, Zessel?
This evening, tonight, girl. It's after 6 p.m.
Yeah, but what are you streaming? What are you streaming?
I mean, it says it right there.
Oh,
Final
you
Fantasy
mean right
12.
now? You mean this podcast? I thought you were going on and having your own stream.
No. I'm having a stream after this. Like
That's
after
what
I
I'm saying.
eat. Yeah, girl.
But what are
yeah,
you
I'm playing
playing?
FF4. FF4.
FF4.
Also,
right.
guys, Friday's my birthday.
This is true. Friday is Zessel's birthday.
But I like to do voice acting. I also do console repair and stuff like that. I work at GameStop, the best job, and I love streaming. Happy pre-birthday, yes. But most of all, I love being a dad. So
Oh,
come watch me play old games that I played with my dad, stepdad.
that's very nice. And one final thing I was just seeing in chat.
Follow
About-
HBOM as well.
Swiggles said that there are people who join in with the quiz who aren't Final Fantasy buffs. This is true. There are people who
Fact.
Yep.
have no knowledge about Final Fantasy games, but they enjoy the quiz so much that they always turn up for it and just put in any answer and just see where they get with their points. So it is a fun time, no matter how much knowledge you have of Final Fantasy. Don't feel like you have to know everything to take part. It's a lot of fun. Thank you very much for being here tonight, and let's all say bye. Good night, and I'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Say bye, Cecil.
everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye, precious.